And you are welcome. You are welcome. You are welcome. You are welcome. Good morning to you from all over the world. My name is Kunle Ologe, married counselor and founder of the Marital Academy. And you are welcome to our Friday Live. As you well know, or in case you don't know, every Friday we come to you with a live stream telling you one thing about marriage that you need to know. Have you been joining our Friday Lives? Is this your first time here? Are you going to be watching this as something that is a replay? Whatever be the case, please subscribe to this channel, the Marital Academy by Kunle Ologe, and you will get so many videos that you will not be able to finish. And all these videos teach you one thing, two things, three things about marriage that will help your marriage become better. And today I'm streaming all the way from Bonny Island. Yes, I'm here in Bonny Island with my beautiful wife, and we are here at the request of the Christian Association here so that we can come and speak to them. And we've been here since Tuesday. It's been a beautiful time. And I am here speaking to you live. So you're welcome, and I can see all of you in the comment section. And I say good morning to you and welcome. As usual, we're going to dive right into the crux of the matter today because we don't want to keep you beyond 1 hour. So today, we are going to be talking about how honor is a key to marital bliss. Honor as a key to marital bliss. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So follow me closely and share this link with everybody you know. Relatives, friends, colleagues at work, schoolmates in case you're in school. Share with every single person that you know so that they can come and learn and they can also get what it is that you're going to be getting today. So honor as a skill to marital bliss. First of all, what is honor? Honor is great esteem or respect for something or someone. Great esteem or respect for something or for someone. That's what honor is. So when you say you honor somebody, it means you have great esteem. You hold that person in very, very high esteem. You respect that person so highly. So in your heart, there's somewhere you have placed that person. That's what honor is. And honor is not just in words, because sometimes we honor people with our words, but in our deeds, we don't honor them. So honor is it's both in words and in deeds. So you need to honor the people you claim to honor with what you do, not just what you say. And who else is the first person for you to honor? The first human being you should honor is your spouse. In fact, the first entity you should honor is God, and then immediately after God, your spouse is the next person that you should honor. Oh, somebody may rush into the comment section now and say, how about honoring your father and your mother, that your days may be long? Yeah, when you get married, your husband becomes your father and your wife becomes your mother. That's why the same Bible says, a man shall leave father and mother and cleave to his what? Wife. That leaving doesn't mean you are abandoning them. It just means your focus is now on your spouse. So yes, your spouse is the first human being that you should honor after God. And this is so important. Very straight question to you. Do you honor your spouse? Do you hold him or her in high esteem? Do you respect him or her? And we're going to be going through this today so that we will know whether you actually honor your spouse or you don't, and what you need to do to honor your spouse more. Because the truth of the matter is that if you want bliss in your marriage, then you need to honor your spouse. You can't have bliss when there's no honor. Where is your honor? Even God asks, where is my honor? So I believe your spouse is asking you today, where is my honor? And that is for those of you who are not honoring your spouse. In fact, for some of you, you honor other people. You honor your boss at work. You honor your political leaders. You honor your religious leaders. But you don't as much as honor your spouse. And that's the first person you should honor. In fact, you should honor him or her in the house, even before going outside to honor somebody else. It doesn't make sense that you see somebody in the morning, you get to the office, you see your boss, you rise up, you greet your boss with respect. But in your home, you can't greet your wife when you wake up. You can't greet your husband when you wake up. Honor is first in your marriage before anywhere else. And this is something that I need every one of you who is listening to me right now to actually take seriously. Honor your spouse. Let's look at some signs of dishonor in marriages. We'll look at just 10 of them. Some signs to show that you are not actually honoring your spouse. The first one is disrespectful communication. Disrespectful communication. Have you ever asked yourself that the way I respond to my spouse, the way I ask my spouse for something, the way I complain to my spouse, have you ever asked yourself that, will I like to be spoken to in that way? So I have a course, Improving Communication in Marriage, and I'm sure some of you have taken that course, right? It's a video course, Improving Communication in Marriage. And there, one of the ways to communicate, when we talk about how to communicate, is to treat your spouse like a human being. Your spouse is a human being like you. One way of disrespecting or dishonoring your spouse is when you speak to your spouse without care. You speak anyhow. And according to you, you are just bearing your mind. You can bear your mind and still be respectful. That's called assertive communication. But being disrespectful in the claim of bearing your mind to your spouse that's wrong, just completely wrong. And that is a mark of high dishonor. Number 2, a lack of trust. When for no reason you don't trust your spouse, you are dishonoring your spouse. Yes, you heard it first here. When you don't trust your spouse, you are actually dishonoring that your spouse. Because when you get married, your trust is supposed to go to your spouse. Now, I know that there are times when a spouse has made you distrust him or her. But I am referring to the distrust when the spouse has done nothing. But maybe the baggage you are carrying from wherever it is, maybe the person you dated before did something to you and you distrusted that person for life. Then you are now married and you are carrying that same attitude and pouring on your spouse who has done nothing to you. That's a mark of dishonor. You honor your spouse when you trust your spouse. When you distrust your spouse for no reason, remember the caveat, for no reason, then that is gross dishonor to your spouse. So that's a second sign of a lack of honor. Number 3, a disregard for boundaries. This one happens a lot in marriages. Now, of course, when you get married, the two have become one. However, in becoming one, you should still respect some very simple boundaries. I've heard people say, I should be able to check my husband's phone. I should be able to check my wife's phone. You are correct. You should have access to your husband's phone, access to your wife's phone. But it is better respectful for you to ask your spouse for that phone before you look at it. But just taking the phone and the whole idea of taking the phone, I'm talking about the people who take the phone and they are searching for something that they must find, something that has gone wrong. That's actually a mark of dishonor. I've had many people come to me and say, Coach, I don't usually check my husband's phone, but this day something just made me, I just opened it, and in my mind I already know that it's a lie. I know you've been checking that phone since, and then you now eventually saw what it was that you are looking for. So that trying to exonerate yourself before I even ask the question already shows that you are doing it right from the beginning. You've been checking the phone. If you want to check your spouse's phone, ask him or her for the phone. Do it decently. Or with all the police that you've been policing on that your husband's phone, on that your wife's phone, have you stopped him or her from doing the wrong thing? No. You've only given yourself unnecessary heartache. Instead, look for how to build your marriage so that it is not even necessary for you to be searching and doing CCTV for your husband or for your wife. So if you disregard boundaries, it is a sign of dishonor. Let's look again at another sign of dishonor. A lack of support. When you refuse to support your spouse on the things that your spouse is doing, that's dishonoring your spouse. Because part of what you are supposed to do as a husband and as a wife is to stand by your spouse, help your spouse, encourage your spouse, be the backbone of your spouse. Let your spouse's standing be as a result of you holding him or her at the back to stand upright. But when you don't do this, you are actually dishonoring him. And you know, the annoying thing is that you refuse to support your spouse, but you are supporting everybody else. Father, mother, brother, sister, friends, colleagues, you are supporting them. Your spouse, I had a counseling session where one spouse was supposed to do an occasion and had to practically beg the other one to support. And the other one was still giving. I mean, it wasn't nice. Your spouse begging you to support something that he or she is doing, that's wrong. You should be the one supporting in any way possible and bringing up the ideas and, helping. So a lack of support is a sign of dishonor. Let's look at the next one. Number 5, disrespecting the relationship values. Now, when you enter a relationship, you are supposed to create values that holds that relationship. But when you go disrespecting that value by changing it or having your own value on something that you know very well that this is what you and your wife, you and your husband have agreed upon, then that is a sign of dishonor. If you've agreed upon a set of values, then you should uphold that set of values and not to create your own set of values that is at variance to the set of values that you people, both of you, have agreed upon. So disrespecting relationship values is, both of you can have a value, for instance, that you see in this our marriage, we don't drink alcohol. And then you now decide unilaterally to bring alcohol home and you are drinking it. And your spouse is wondering, but we agreed. This is part of our value system. And you say, well, I want to. That I want to in marriage. I think I've taught you people before that marriage is not about independence. Marriage is about interdependence. The moment you are trying to be independent in marriage, you will always have cracks in your marriage and you will not be able to find bliss. So you must understand that disrespecting your relationship values is a big challenge. The next one is emotional neglect. Emotional neglect. That's a lot of dishonor when that happens. So your spouse is going through a particular emotion, and it's a negative emotion. It's an emotion that is bringing him or her down, and you disrespect it, as in you disregard it. You feel, well, if you are angry, you are on your own. If you are sad, you are on your own. After all, I'm not the one that made you angry. I'm not the one that made you sad. If you are worried, you are on your own. That is dishonoring. Part of the purposes of marriage is companionship. And a companion stands with his fellow companion every time, in sickness, in health, in down times, and in high times. So when your spouse is going through an emotional challenge, you should be there for your spouse, helping your spouse that challenge. You don't neglect your spouse's challenge. And some of you claim that it's because I didn't cause it anyway. No, no, no. The ones you caused, the ones you did not cause, ensure you help your spouse get through that emotional challenge. Number 7, a lack of honor in marriage shows when there's inability to resolve conflict. Should we call it inability or a decision not to resolve conflicts? When you decide not to resolve conflicts, you are disrespecting and dishonoring your spouse. So there's a conflict on ground, and your spouse is even trying his best, her best to, reconcile things, to have a conversation with you, and you shout, you raise your voice, you storm out, you walk out of the conversation, you refuse. The worst one is the one that you even refuse to talk about the conversation. That is dishonoring. So you dishonor your spouse when you decide not to resolve conflicts. It's dishonor. Number 8, you dishonor your spouse when you are selfish. Marriage is for selflessness, not for selfishness. So when you are selfish, you have just agreed within yourself to dishonor your spouse. When you get married, it's no more about you. It's about both of you. And one of the things you need to do is to put your spouse first before you. So husband, put your wife before you. Wife, put your husband before you. Think of them first before yourself. When you don't do this, you are dishonoring the person, because you are supposed to be selfless. But when you are selfish, instead of being selfless, then you are dishonoring your spouse. Number 9 is isolation. Isolation. Those of you who want to stay on your own. We were speaking somewhere, my wife and I, recently, and a woman said, well, what of those times you just want to be on your own? And we asked, did you get married to be on your own? If you wanted to be on your own, you should have just stayed as a spinster or as a bachelor, as the case may be. Isolating yourself is dishonoring your spouse. It's showing your spouse, well, I don't need you. Let me go and stay on my own. So something happens, and instead of people to have a conversation, you carry yourself and you isolate yourself. That's dishonor. So that is another sign of dishonor in marriage. And finally, unhappiness. Unhappiness. When you are unhappy, this one is funny, right? When you are just unhappy, it's a sign that there is dishonor in that marriage. Maybe you who is unhappy is not the one dishonoring. It may be the other person who is, but there is unhappiness generally in that marriage. It's a sign that there might be dishonor in that marriage. And one person is just unhappy, and maybe both are unhappy about it. These are 10 signs, 10 things to show you that there is probably dishonor in your marriage. Now, what are those things that cause dishonor? Let's look at just about 4 of them. The things that actually cause dishonor in your marriage. What are they? Number 1, poor background in honor. Poor background in honor. Yeah. When nobody taught you, nobody told you, nobody showed you how to honor others, you may come into marriage with that level of dishonor. There are some homes where there was no honor. So no example, no model of honor. And so everybody in the house dishonors the other. You carry that same mindset and bring into your marriage, you will dishonor your spouse also. So background, you guys know that every time I come here, there's hardly a time we come for Friday Live that we don't talk about background being one of the causes of problems. That's why how you were raised, where you were raised is very important too. My wife will tell you that you are a product of who raised you. where you are raised, what the person that raised you knows. So if you are raised by a father and a mother who didn't know honor, then you also may not know honor except you go for self-development. That's why self-development is important. Many of us were raised in a generation where they didn't know better. So it's not that they didn't want to do better, but they just didn't know better. They were not exposed to better knowledge. You are being exposed to better knowledge now. So you should begin to change. But you have a situation where people don't change. They don't develop themselves. I just finished the course, Becoming Mr. and Mrs. It's a singles course, and we do it twice every year. So we just finished the November edition. So we do it in February and we do it in November. We just finished the November edition. And one of the things I was telling them was that before you get married, sort yourself out. Those things, those background issues that you are carrying around, don't move around. And you will know you have those background issues because people would have complained about those things. Maybe at work, your boss at work has complained about some of the things, the way you do some things, and you know that thing is how it is done in your house. Don't be angry and don't say, why is my boss talking about this? You know. You don't like it, but somehow you find yourself doing it. Go and seek help. Go and read books. Go and do courses. This is the age of knowledge. There is so much knowledge everywhere. So go and do all these things, and it will really, really help you. The next one is just bad character. This one has nothing to do with your background. Your background may be good, but you just had bad character, or you just have bad character. Characters like arrogance, wickedness, selfishness. Just have bad character. And you carry your bad character and go and jam somebody who has very good character, and you are making that person's life a living hell. That's wrong. That's wickedness. Bad character. And you know you have bad character. The annoying thing is people who even justify bad character and tell you things like, well, that's the way I am. That's the way you are. You know, I've always told you people, that's the way you are, that's the way you are. When you feel that you like shouting, right? You like shouting on people. When they are talking to you, you shout back at them. Why is it that when you get to the military checkpoint, you don't shout at them? You claim that's how you are, you can't change. But when you see the soldiers, how come you conform yourself? That's how to show you that you can actually change. You have just decided not to change. Bad character everywhere. Why? Please do your best to clean up your character. Do your best to live a good life. Do your best to make sure that your character is not something your spouse, your husband, your wife is suffering from. Bad character. Number 3 cause of dishonor in marriage is peer pressure. Peer pressure. Yes. So maybe you are honoring your husband, maybe you are honoring your wife, but you now meet friends that laugh at you and say, you mean every day you cook for this man? How can you be cooking for him? Can't he cook himself? I beg. Me, I don't cook. Meanwhile, the person that is telling you that is the one that cooks the most at home. When she comes out, she'll give you that picture that she doesn't do those things, and you will be gullible enough to also swallow it and then mess up your own marriage. And then when your marriage is destroyed, you see that her own marriage is being blissful. Bad character. Your friend has told you, don't you know you're a man? How can they send you to the market? They sent you to the market and you too, you went. Meanwhile, your wife, you know that your wife was too busy to go to the market. So she has asked you, go to the market for me. And there's nothing wrong with going to the market. Go to the market for me and help me do this while I'm handling other things. But because your friend has laughed at you before, you now get angry too. I say, how can you tell me to go to the market? A whole me. No, half you. A whole you. Where is the wholeness when you cannot honor your wife? So peer pressure is real in adults and is real in marriage, unfortunately so. And a lot of people do the things they're doing just because somebody else is making them do it. I always every time you are doing things because somebody else wants you to do it, you are a weakling. You know, weakling is not just when you don't have physical strength or when somebody else controls what it is that you are going to do, your actions, especially to the negative, you are a weakling. Break out of it. And that's why the friends that surround you will eventually destroy you or make you. Did someone write that down? The friends that surround you will eventually destroy you or make you. So watch the friends that you take or that you hang around. The Bible says evil communication destroys good manners. So watch out. The people around you who you call your friend, watch out for them. It's not everybody that you should tag along with, because if those people have bad characters, they have bad backgrounds, and they have refused to change, it's just a matter of time. You will also begin to behave like them. Bad character. And then number 4, the society at large. Yes, the society starts to tell you how you should behave sometimes. And that's wrong. Especially if they're telling you the negative behavior. And now the society is telling us a lot of things that are crazy. A lot of things that don't make sense. Sexual disorientation, gender mismanagement, role upturning, all kinds of things. Things that used to give honor before, they have thrown it to the dust. People are now coming out to say, why must you stay with your husband? If he messes up, just leave him and take all his money also. People are saying, why do you have just a wife? You can have a wife and also have other girlfriends around. There's nothing wrong with it. People are saying all kinds of things that are against the tenets of God. And that is one of the causes of dishonor in marriage. So you started your marriage, everything was going on well. Then you japa. And then the first thing you do when you japa is about to collect now. The first thing you do when you japa is that you stop going to church. I was speaking to somebody recently, he's not even in Nigeria. And I was speaking to him, and his wife complained that he doesn't go to church anymore. And I asked him, why don't you go to church? And he said, well, I just feel going to church once a week does not add anything to me. I might as well sit down and watch it online. So it's not that he's watching online. However, he is missing out in the goodness of being amongst God's people. The Bible says, do not forsake the assembly of God's people. There is something it does to you. It helps to lift you up even when you are weak, helps to hold you strong. However, society has told you that what is church? I was in the UK, I think about 2-3 weeks ago. I'm in the UK almost every year. And it pained me again because I went to a part of the UK that I have not been to. And I was seeing that religious centers churches are being turned into gymnasiums, and I said, why? How can the people who brought Christianity to us be selling out? And you know why they are selling out? People are no longer going to church. People have stopped going to church. Society. So you get into a society where everything works. You know, here in Nigeria, it looked like you had to pray for everything. Pray for security, pray for water, pray for light, then you now get there, everything is working. You now say, oh, there's nothing to pray for again. And that is a device of the devil. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying good life is bad. Though. Good life is very good. Systems working is very, very good. However, there is still a God in heaven. And I believe that was one of the reasons he allowed COVID. Because people had gone so haywire about we don't need God. So I'm sure those are one of the questions I'll ask him when I get to heaven. I have a conviction that he just said, okay, let me allow this thing. Let me just allow it a little. And look at the whole world wanted to go crazy for almost like common cold, right? The whole world wanted to go crazy. And it was only the people who were religious, they used to laugh at us in Nigeria that were very religious, right? Were the ones that survived it the most. So you need to be very, very careful about society. What is society preaching? I'm happy I'm hearing some good news from the US now. You know, with the elections that have just happened, I'm hearing, some voices rising. I heard somewhere in a place, I think it's a county or a state, where they have said that they want to reintroduce Bibles into the schools. Every classroom should have a Bible. I'm still trying to verify that video to know whether that video is recent or. That's a good thing. How could a country like that have reached a stage where talking about God is now a problem? In a lot of Western countries now, talking about God, they tell you, no, you don't need to. Why must you raise your voice? Just say it in your own house. Society. I heard the story of a place, I can't remember where in the world, where they said, no, all churches closed. They closed all the churches. No more churches. Everybody go to your home. Everybody went home. And then they started doing church in every single home. So one day, one of the officials was walking down the street and started hearing singing in every home. I said, what's going on here? And they told him, well, since you've closed their church, you can't close the church inside the home now. You can't come to somebody's home and say, I'm closing this home, it's a church. So they have now turned all their homes into churches. They said, they told them, please open the churches back. It's okay. You can. Society, that's how society is. And if we don't take heed, the society will make us dishonor our spouses in terrible ways. So now, after looking at the causes of dishonor, so how do you now honor your spouse so that you can have marital bliss? So how to honor your spouse for marital bliss? Number one, have mutual respect. Yes, have mutual respect for each other. You honor your spouse greatly when you have respect for your spouse. Just look at your spouse and see your spouse as a human being like you. And just respect him, respect her. Be careful how you say things. When I say be careful, I'm not now saying walk on eggshells. No, not at all. But talk decently, like you would talk to somebody that you respect. Ensure you build trust and loyalty. Build trust and loyalty. Trust your spouse and also create an avenue where your spouse can trust you. Very, very important. Number three, celebrate each other's uniqueness. Now, this is very, very key. And I'll tell you why. It's very, very key because each person was created unique. You don't have two people that are exactly alike. That's why no fingerprints are exactly alike. I'm sure the scientists, when they found that out, they say, yay! So we can find a unique identifier for everybody. Because I'm sure they were sweating and saying, how do we identify? What part of the body can we use to be sure? And they found out that fingerprints, you don't have two that are the same, exactly the same. So same way, each spouse, husband is unique, wife is unique, and this is where that other purpose of marriage, completeness, comes in. So your uniqueness, each person's uniqueness comes together to now form something, a system that is good. Because what you are lacking, your spouse has it. What your spouse is lacking, you have it. So celebrate it, be happy. When you are quiet and your spouse can talk well, celebrate it, because there are times you will need to talk. It's your spouse that will talk on your behalf. And then there are times that you need to just be quiet. It's your spouse that will let you know that this place, no, don't raise your voice here. So celebrate it, be happy. Stop saying, why are you so different from me? No, don't do that. Celebrate it. If you are the same, it will be boring, right? So celebrate your uniqueness. Number 4, build effective communication. Some of the reasons that we dishonor each other is because we don't know how to communicate. When it comes to communication, there is what to communicate, when to communicate, how to communicate. Some of you don't know the how to communicate. And so you communicate anyhow, and it causes issues of dishonor in your marriage. I've told you about that course. Please go and get that course. Improving communication in marriage. Go and get it. It's very, very important. Number 5, commit to growing yourself. Commit to growing yourself. Ensure that you have a personal development process in your life. There's this book that I have, Building Your Marriage Plan. Now, building your marriage plan, in it, one of the plans that you are supposed to have is your capacity building plan. And that's the book. If you don't have this book, if you've never bought or read this book, please go and get it. We have it in hard copy, we have it in e-copy, we have it on Amazon, we have it on our online store, on Seller. It's everywhere. Thousands of copies have sold all over the world. Get this book. There are 13 things that you are supposed to plan for. 13. And one of them is, in fact, number 13 is capacity building. You must plan for how you will continually build your capacity in marriage. Capacity building. That's the 13th one. You must plan how you will continuously build your capacity. You can't be at the same level of intellectual competence at marriage, and then 5 years later, you are still the same. 10 years later, you are even worse. You should build your capacity every single day that passes. This is very, very important. Again, how to honor for marital bliss. You need to honor commitments. When you have told your spouse, I'm going to do this thing, please do it. Don't tell your spouse, I'm going to do this thing, and then your spouse has to start begging you to do the thing. No, that's wrong. When you have told your spouse, you see this thing, I'm going to do it, do it. No matter how little or trivial it looks. Because when you don't do it, it's a sign of dishonor. So honor your spouse by doing the things you have said. Some of the things are things that you have said you will stop doing, for instance. So you have said you will stop doing this thing. Why are you still doing it? Honor your spouse. The next one is that you need kindness and compassion. Hey, a marriage without kindness and compassion will not allow you to see your spouse and honor him or her, respect him or her. Be kind, have compassion. Look at your spouse. When you look at your spouse, look at your spouse with that compassion, that loving kindness of God inside you. Extend it to your spouse. Your spouse needs it. And it shows your spouse that you honor him or her. So kindness and compassion are two very important ingredients. Number 8, support each other's well-being. When it comes to health, when it comes to physical health, mental health, nutrition, what you wear, how you look. Some of you see your wife and her unkept, and you don't care. Nothing has told you, maybe it's looking this way because there's no money with her to do her hair. Why not just tell her on a Saturday, you know what? I'm taking you to the salon myself. Take her to the salon. That's what we're talking about. That's supporting each other's well-being. Your husband is bearded like me, and the beard is now turning into something else that we don't know. Nothing stops you from saying, can you go groom your hair? Just show him that you're even seeing, even if you're not going to take him to the salon yourself. Support each other's well-being. It is very, very important for you to honor your spouse. Number 9, forgiveness and reconciliation. Forgive your spouse. Your spouse is a human being. Your spouse will make mistakes. But don't crucify your spouse because of the mistakes that he or she has made. Forgive him. Forgive her. Resolve the issues. Reconcile. Stop carrying issues over and over. I mean, I told you before, I used to be an MMK, Master Malice Keeper, when I first got married, because I didn't know how to resolve issues. I was not very good at resolving issues. And since I don't want to shout and so I'll just keep quiet. And that keeping quiet will move from keeping quiet for 1 hour to keeping quiet for 1 day. That's already malice. Oh, by the way, in case you don't know, once you have kept quiet, you're not talking to your spouse, it has passed 1 day. Please, it's malice. Don't tell me it's anything else. It is malice. But now, in fact, when my spouse does something, sometimes she even complains now. As she's doing the thing, I'm saying it immediately so that I can take it off my chest and I don't need to keep malice. So forgive, reconcile, talk about issues when they happen. Of course, there's always when to talk about. So when I say talk about issues, look for conducive times. It's not that you bring it up in church. When you're in church, you now touch your spouse and say, this thing that you did to me. No. There are appropriate times, but don't procrastinate. So forgiveness and reconciliation will really help you to honor your spouse. And then physical intimacy. Physical intimacy. Physical intimacy is important. Some of you don't know, but when you deprive your husband, you deprive your wife of sex, you are actually dishonoring him or her. Remember, you are the only person that he or she can't make love to any other person. So when you refuse on flimsy excuses, then you are actually dishonoring. So it is important that physical intimacy in marriage is very regular, very robust, done with goodwill, and that is a sign of honor to your spouse. I know this last part now, you are all excited about it. Yes, be excited. It's actually a sign of honor when you give your spouse your body. When you refuse to give your spouse your body, is a sign of dishonor. In fact, it's a sign of wickedness. So don't be wicked to your spouse. Give your spouse what is due to him or her. These are 10 ways of honoring your spouse. 10 things you can do. You can do more. Bottom line is ensure that whatever it is you are doing, you are respecting your spouse, you are holding him or her in high esteem, and you will realize that it will show. Your spouse will become happy. There will be joy. There will be bliss. There will be peace. But when there is dishonor, there can't be peace. Everybody is angry. Everybody is upset. Try it today. Begin to do these things to your spouse, and you'll find out that all the acrimony and the bad blood that is flowing in your marriage will fizzle away because you are in control. And this is where we're going to stop for today, for the teaching today. And I hope you picked something from today. I hope that you are going to honor your spouse from today on so that your marital bliss will be complete. And to help you in these things that I'm always teaching you, you need to be in an accountability system. Belong to an accountability system. It will help you. It will do you so many things. We have an accountability system in the Marriage Seal Academy, and it's called the Couples Conclave. It's a 1-year accountability system. It holds your hand in marriage and guides you along all year through. We start in January of every year and end in November. Take a break in December, then start in January again. It rejuvenates your marriage, makes it exciting and popping. The Couples Conclave is a beautiful place for every married couple to belong. And this year we have 234 couples. That's over 468 individuals in the couples conclave from all over the world. And they're not all Nigerians, from different races. It's a community that we have built. We've built this community over 3 years now, going to the 4th year. And this community is growing every time, with people having better marriages every year. So you think your marriage is good, come into the conclave, it will become better and better and better. What are the things that you get to do in the couples conclave? Number one, we send you every day of the working week, we send you a tip on marriage. And that helps you to understand or jack you up in marriage. It keeps you on your toes. It reminds you of the things that you are supposed to do in marriage and the things you are supposed to avoid. Then every week we give you one task to do with your spouse, because we know that you are in a very, very busy world. So sometimes it's crazy and you don't know what to do to get together with your spouse and spend quality time. So we help you with that and give you an activity and make you submit that activity. And these activities include dancing together, washing plates, doing your laundry together, cooking together, designing a menu together, fun things. Then every month we come to you with one master class on marriage. We talk about finance, talk about communication, talk about conflict resolution, talk about different things on marriage, even health. We give health talks on marriage to keep you healthy. And then we do book readings and reviews. So we pick up a book. Sometimes it's a book written by me, sometimes it's a book written by another author. We read it and then we review it. We have teams. We put ourselves into teams and then we review these books. And then we have gender conferences. So we have the men and women's conference. This year we've had it 2 times. So men will gather together somewhere, women will gather together somewhere. By the way, the couples conclave is 95% online. So all these things I'm talking about is online. So you can join from anywhere in the world. And even for our live classes, if you are in a part of the world that is nighttime or too early in the morning, you get replays. So you have access to it. And then most excitedly, once every year we have the couples retreat. The couples retreat is the only physical activity that forms that 5%, right? It's the only physical activity of the couples conclave. So we gather together physically at a beautiful resort and spend a few days together having fun, learning things. This year was in the beautiful Ekpe Resort in Lagos. Last year it was in the beautiful Zuma Rock Resort in Abuja. Next year it's going to be in the beautiful city of Uyo. All of these are the things we've packaged together to help keep your marriage active, alive, and well. You don't want to miss this for any single thing. So registration is open for the couples conclave. It's been open now for a while. It's closing on the 24th of December. On the 24th of December. You don't want to miss this for any reason at all. Ensure that you book for it. You'll see all the details scrolling. It's been scrolling under the screen. Yeah, the details are there. If you want more information, just send a chat to our WhatsApp line on screen and you will be responded to, giving you all the information that you need on the couples conclave. And I'm going to leave you here. I promised that I was not going to waste too much of your time. So I'm going to leave you here right now. And I hope that you did learn something today. I hope that you are going back to ensure that you begin to honor your spouse. Honor him, honor her in everything that you are doing. Make sure that respect is first for her. And when you do this, you will find out that everything else will begin to work in your marriage. I leave you today with this beautiful video, this advert of the program that we're having in December. Yes, in December, we're having our first drama night. Our first drama night. The Marriage Stories Drama Night is coming up December 20th. If you are in Abuja, ensure you are there for the Marriage Stories Drama Night. And I will be there live. I will also be acting in the drama. I'm sure you are going to be excited to see me acting. I'm going to be acting in the drama. That's one of my portions, my passions. So I see you guys there December 20th, Marital in Abuja, 5 p.m. Starting from 5 p.m. It's going to be a beautiful night of drama and of singing. See you there. God bless you.
I have missed you. I have missed you so much now. Yes, it's just the media and you that's here. There's nobody else that misses me. I have missed you. When are you coming over?
You're talking to that girl again. Every time you're talking to that girl, you and this girl. When did you stop talking to this girl?
Is that when you collect
this house not contain me anymore.
No, is that when you collect
I will want this house
you
now.
collect.
Marriages like this do exist, and that is why we are coming to you this December, giving you stories of marriage that you cannot resist. Join us this December the 20th on Friday for the Marriage Stories Drama Night. It's going to be a night of drama and beautiful music. You'll laugh, you'll enjoy yourself, you will learn something about marriage, and you will be fine at the end of the day. Registration details are immediately after this video. Please enjoy.